Natalia, Fickeners, founder of Milk Honey Advice, and like I promised everyone that I would talk to someone who served our country, here I am with Rob Medina, who has given Milk Honey Advice the honor to be interviewed. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Well, thank you, Natalia. The honor's all mine. It's a blessing for me to be interviewed.
Well, that's great. For starters, why don't you tell me and the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Well, as you mentioned, my name is Rob Medina. I have the honor, had the honor of serving our nation as a United States Marine, and I am the father of 6 and the grandfather of 5 children.
What a blessing, really?
Yes, I am.
Wow. And how long have you been married?
9 years.
9 years?
Yes. I was a widower before, but I've been now married to my current wife 9 years.
And what does your wife do?
She stays at home.
Oh, really?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, ma'am.
Very nice.
She takes care of our children.
That's beautiful. And how old are your kids?
Well, they range from 4 to 29.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big age difference. Yeah. Okay. And are you very involved in their lives still?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. They're a big part of my life. Try to stay connected with each and every one of them and my grandchildren.
Oh, and how old are your grandchildren?
Well, I've got them from 3 all the way to just 1 year old.
Oh.
Yeah, one just turned 4, actually.
How fun. Yeah. You like spending time with them, obviously.
Yeah, actually, I was just with them last night yes, ma'am.
That's beautiful. Can you give us, as you serve the country, can you give us an experience from your childhood that could have built up to why?
There's several. I was raised, my father was, I used to watch a lot of World War II movies. Audie Murphy, I'm not sure, I know I'm aging myself at this point, but definitely was raised knowing specifically about a Puerto Rican group that was a segregated unit, an army unit that served in Korea, and very heroically. Actually, George MacArthur once said, I wish I had more like them, but they're dubbed the Borinqueneers. For the island of Puerto Rico is called Borinque. So these soldiers fought valiantly in the Korean War, and as I mentioned, it was a segregated unit, and all I heard growing up was their heroic acts and how they were the pride of Puerto Rico, how they were the pride of the United States in that battle, and which led me into wanting to serve this nation in our military. The Marine Corps was, I enlisted, that was my choice. I
Around
learned,
what age were you?
I was 21, I believe.
21, okay.
21, yes ma'am.
Okay.
Yes ma'am.
So that's nice. Who was like the person you most admired in your childhood? Did you have someone you admired the most?
Yeah, I'm a baseball fan.
Baseball?
And although I was a Yankee fan, or I am a Yankee fan, there was Roberto Clemente always stood out.
Really?
Yes, ma'am. Roberto Clemente, when we lost him, that was tragic for me as a childhood. I remember watching him play at Shea Stadium when I was a young child, and I remember him throwing the ball from right field, and I think it might have been one bounce to get someone that was tagging out from home plate. To watch that unfold as a kid, it was amazing. So, yeah, I do like baseball. My parents raised me with baseball.
And you were raised in New York, correct?
Yes, ma'am. I was born and raised in New York City.
Okay, what part of New York?
Born in Manhattan, and then later on my parents moved to the Bronx.
To the Bronx. Oh, have many friends there.
Yes.
Okay. Is there, in your service, when you did serve our country, what stood out as a man of service? What was it that stood out the most that you can remember?
Giving of yourself for someone else. As a Marine, we learn we're brothers. And in that, there's a discipline. And you're always responsible for the person next to you.
Okay.
and that carries on. And it takes a huge amount of discipline. It takes a level of knowing the person, attention to detail. So those attributes I learned, and they benefit me today. They actually help me today.
Really? Okay. This is a question I myself wonder, because I myself considered the same choice that you went through. What was it that pushed you the most there? What was it that kept you going every day, even though it might have been hard days? What kept you going through that?
My brothers.
Really?
My fellow Marines. Yeah, we're responsible for one another. And if one of us, whatever situation we were all going through, whatever that indicators were, we're responsible for one another. And so we thrive on the successes of each other.
Oh, okay. So you still connected to them?
Actually, there is one that I've recently, in my travels, have come across. He serves as an attorney in Orlando.
Oh, really?
So we served in the same unit, and it was a huge blessing when we
got together.
Yeah, I was working, and I was speaking on behalf of my boss, and he was in the audience, and he recognized my voice, and so later on we connected, and I knew exactly who he was. And
oh, that must have been a happy moment.
Yeah, actually my first wife and his wife would get together all the time and cook, their favorite dishes for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Out of your military experience, what's the worst thing that could have ever happened to you during that time?
Well, of course, death would have been.
But one that stands out the most, one that you.
Something that was. That's an interesting question. And I'm not sure I'm prepared to discuss that.
Okay, then we can skip that question, no problem.
Yeah.
As a Marine, what would you tell other people, other young men out there who want to sign up? What do you tell them? What do you encourage them?
Well, at first I tell them it's a calling that comes from within. First and foremost, be led by God, and I believe that is placed there by God. There's a level of serving and being part of something greater than life itself, is to lay down your life for someone else. And joining the military is that, believing in our way of life, believing that this republic, this nation that we call the United States of America, represents liberty and freedoms throughout the entire world. It represents a life. And interestingly enough, milk and honey is what this nation is. We have the blessings of milk and honey each and every day in our lives. And so to defend those liberties and freedoms is a responsibility, and we're all called to do the same thing and serve one another.
Right. And even if we're not serving the country, we're serving in other forms, we're also doing our part in some form. Correct?
That is exactly right. It's about serve, and I currently serve today. Just because I'm not in the military, we all owe it to someone else to improve someone else's life, enhance their quality of life. And that's how I look at it. That's why we're called to serve one another.
You put it in a very nice way.
Well, thank you. Where I really needed a touch from God.
Okay.
And I was, as I mentioned, I'm a widower.
Mm-hmm.
And I just opened my heart for him to come in.
Okay.
I willingly made that decision. I couldn't do this on my own.
Mm-hmm.
And my life has never been the same again since I've accepted Jesus Christ. It's about a relationship. Just like you and I are talking here, it's the same way. Yes. It's a relationship with him. How do I get to know him more? Right. By continuing to have that relationship.
And feeling comfortable too.
Yeah, and getting into his word. Mm-hmm. The way you know him is by learning his word, which he is his word.
Okay. So in your service in the military, he was part of that experience as well.
At that time, I was more of a traditionalist.
More traditional in there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it became more with the years. You became closer and more and you wanted to understand more and speak there.
That's good, Natalia. And let me just share with you. I don't think any other branch of service could have geared me towards this relationship, because this relationship takes a discipline.
Right.
And so back then, I could have joined the Air Force. Not to say that the Air Force, there's something wrong with the Air Force or the Army or anything. I just feel that as God has shown me a big picture, for me, my inside fortitude to strengthen me, I needed that type of discipline, that type of training from the Marine Corps, which I've translated to now in getting into His Word, getting to know Him, just translating
kind
that.
Of built into it. Like,
yeah, that same discipline is what it takes to be into His Word.
Okay. Another thing is, for the young people who want to serve, what exactly should they expect from serving the country? What are the expectations? Because many that I know are my friends have expectations that I myself don't think they might get. It's not exactly easy and it's not exactly hard. And it really, like you said, discipline. But from your experience, what do you tell them?
What I would say is, in your heart, make this decision to serve others. And no matter how difficult it gets, know that you're there to serve others. It will be hard. You'll have some tough times. I'm not sugarcoating it. However, when that mission is accomplished, there's something that you take from that that'll stay within you for the rest of your life. Whether you do it for 4 years, 6 years, 10, 20 years, that'll always be a part of your fiber, of your every being, is to serve others. And I think it's a great opportunity for young men and women alike to serve this nation, give of themselves in defense of what we represent. So many people all across the world don't have the liberties and the freedoms that the Republic of the United States has.
That is so true. And we sometimes don't count our blessings. Especially, when we complain too much when we have more advances than other countries would. Another thing was something more on the personal side. When you were a young boy, what is the most beautiful memory you have of your father or your mother or your siblings? You have siblings?
Yes, I have a brother. He's actually a TV cameraman. He's been doing this for almost 30 years. He's won an Emmy, actually. I'm very proud of him.
Wow.
He works for Telemundo.
Telemundo?
Yes.
Oh, I watch Telemundo.
In New Jersey.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm really proud of him.
Wow. Okay, so what is the most beautiful experience you could, better said, with your family? What is it that you remember?
You know, I used to love when my dad would take us on trips, whether it was to Niagara Falls. He would just one day just say, okay, we're leaving. We had no idea where we would go, and we'd go spend the time in Niagara Falls, or we'd go to Fire Island in New York, if you know, it's all the way out the tip, or Jones Beach, and just Atlantic City.
And he wouldn't alert you, he's like, let's go.
We're leaving today. He was something about my dad. I love what he did, what he represented in serving. He was a barber. He always owned his own business. But something that I learned from him was there were children that were always in trouble, young youth that would get in trouble. He would, in New York, you can sponsor someone and give them an apprentice license and teach them the trade. I can't tell you the countless individuals that I met that were teenagers or that were growing up, that were young, that he gave them a trade, and they eventually went out to become business owners. They taught them a trade, and in my opinion, changed their whole life.
Wow.
By giving them that self-worth, that value to serve others.
Okay. What is something that you learned the most from your brother?
He was an artist. Creativity.
Oh, okay.
Creativity, patience and creativity from my brother. He would take, I don't know if you're familiar in New York City, but sometimes in the summer they'll have fire hydrants. He would take a picture of a fire hydrant just with a little drop of water and how it sprinkles off the sidewalk, and he would just capture that picture, that moment. And he taught me that you could do that with anything.
Right.
That moment in time, you could just capture that.
Wow, that is pretty.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
What type of jobs did you do growing up? Like, what was your very first job?
Wow. I think I pumped gas for Sunoco at the age of 11, right down the street from my dad's barbershop.
Okay.
I could have been 12. Could have been 12. Yeah. Back then they paid you cash. Hey, come help out. You know.
And you're like, yay.
Yeah, I would do that, but and then I'd come smelling like gas. I did that. I did. Of course, I shined shoes at my dad's barbershop.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, had the price. Interestingly enough, the price of a shoe shine, I would charge whatever the slice of pizza rate was. So if the pizza rate would go up to say 40 cents, that's what I would charge for one shoe shine.
That's a smart way to go.
Yeah, because I always loved eating pizza.
That is smart. Way to go.